Welcome. This is David Boles, Human Meme. Today's topic: the golden age of acquiescence. The United States of America is going through a difficult split right now. We have two sides of the equal but opposite evil realm, Democrats and Republicans. And we've never been more split in these modern times than we are right now. And the main reason we are so split is that a corrupt president, and there's really no doubt about that, is completely protected by a Republican Congress and Senate. And that president is propped up by a fake news propaganda machine, by the likes of Fox News and Breitbart and Sinclair and so on and so forth. And yes, the Democrats are stuck. Their mainstream media outlets are paralyzed by trying to be fair and playing in both sides of the stream. It's all a false analysis, a dysfunctional system, and a two-faced meme for doing business. You cannot split the baby, but we must split the baby. You cannot have the apple, but we must cut the apple in two. You cannot eat the orange and throw away the rind, even though that's precisely how you eat and throw away an orange. And so here we are, stuck in a house divided. And the only way things will change is for the Democrats to take over at least the House of Representatives in the fall elections. And if that doesn't happen, nothing will change for another 2 years. Can we stand another 2 years of total and immediate dysfunction? And I'm not saying there needs to be an impeachment of the president. I'm not saying the president needs to go to jail. All I am saying is this: the powers of an unjust presidency need to be constitutionally checked by Congress. The Congress need to do their jobs. Now, let's do the hard Scrabble math. Let's say we have 30% of hardcore believers, voters, on both sides of the electorate. Okay. So that's 60% of the people who vote are gone, lost to their own cause, on both sides. Now, let's also agree we are fairly and truly probably split as a nation of believers right down the middle. 50% Republican, 50% Democrat. Okay? So that means we probably have about 20% on each side remaining that are maybe merely labeled by the convenience of association. But they also might just maybe not maybe be hardcore believers. So let's say, for the sake of this human meme podcast argument, that the 20% on each side are swayable and reasonable. And those in the media tend to call those malleable voters the soft middle. 40%, 20% on each side of the people who might just change their mind and vote for the other side. And those middling voters vote more on value and economics rather than by being led by purebred, blinded belief. And the 20% on each side are really the non-radicals. They're calm. They're smart. They pretty much are the middle class of America. So then, how does one side keep their 20% and protect their half of the political believers, and then successfully move to the other side and steal at least 1 to 5% of that other side's mushy 20% believers. How do they get them to vote against their current label and wear a new one? And that, my human being friend, is where American elections are won and lost. In the convincing of the 5% of the soft middle on the other side to vote the other way than they did the last time they voted. That's how things change. Or they could stay on their side. But that's no fun. The 20% like being persuaded and appreciated, and they like attention. They want to swoon for an idea or a person. They want to be the change makers. And yes, it is total madness. And so then the question becomes, how do you win over those crossovers, the 5% you need to change things up? Well, history proves you win them with lies, and you win them with false promises, and you win them with purposeful misinformation. And all that's okay because nobody wants the truth anymore. Facts make people wrong. So you have to find another way. You have to make them, the tiny voter bloc you need to win, you have to make them blameless and vulnerable. You pretty much have to scare them. And you can convince them you have a better way, a more thorough thinking, a kinder argument for their own self-preservation. You might even say you will lower their taxes. You might say you will barter the rights of their daughters. You could say you'll protect the borders. You might even say you will welcome all newcomers just as the Native Americans welcomed the Pilgrims. Ah, yes. It's all a hissing lie. Because all you really need for that 5% in convincing is the purposeful, cruel, and determined lie. And you lie to win the game, to shift the election, to spin the world in your favor, to preserve the status quo. And you do all that because that is how a democracy survives. You get there to freedom for all by doing the dirty work of actually listening to the people and then telling them back, repeating back what they want to hear and never what they need to know. And of course, this whole process is cynical and calculating and methodically insane. But what better option is there out there to live under a tyrant's thumb, to preserve an autocracy, to die in a nation where the president believes he is a falsely elected king? If we are not careful and always suspect, a democracy, our democracy, can quickly tumble into chaos through benign neglect and by cruel opportunity seekers. And we are already seeing the degradation of the fact of truth in America, led by a president who believes only in the trick and only in the deception as public policy. And where will that sort of leadership take us? It will take us straight into the barrel of monkeys waiting for us right over there. A barrel of monkeys waiting to devour us all alive with shrieking and laughter and mockery. And the one thing those who want to remove democracy count upon is this: accomplishing the unimaginable, while pretending, lying, that everything is unchanged and on the up and up. And all of that goes beyond simple gaslighting. And we've discussed gaslighting here before at length, right here in your favorite Human Meme podcast. No, this is the opposite of nation building and gaslighting. This is the outright theft of the soul of a country. A country founded on science and intelligence and education and a clear pursuit of the truth. And to know that, really, only 5% of us can save us from the ravages of the others is terrifying. Because that means a minority power has the ability to manage, control, and affect the majority decision. And that, my friend, is about as anti-democratic as you can get. I fear our democracy is in peril. And instead of standing up and fighting for what we have always said we believed in, we are instead giving in and living in the golden age of acquiescence. And we sit here and do nothing, while those with the darkest hearts and the most damaging intentions tear down every good thing we've built over the last 200 years. And the saddest part is this: nobody cares, and nobody will begin to care until it is all entirely gone, and all the good people are dead, and all the rotten corpses of the stinking, undignified souls that attempt to lead us rise to the top to cream every single dream of freedom that was ever preserved in the ink of an ideal that we meant something more to someone else than just being one person. We must fight to become more than just ourselves. We fight because we have no other choice. We shall not be moved because we refuse to go elsewhere. We stand on the rock, sitting on the mountaintop, and we claim our right to be free, and to be heard, and to be feared. For we know the truth of humanity is at stake, and we actively choose to preserve in the hearts and the minds of each other this: live free or die. Be the 5% or get left behind. Know that the truth of science will always defeat the fact of fiction. Thank you for listening. Be a human meme.